If every one of the 6.7 billion people in the world stood up at the same time, and every one of them started speaking at the very same time, and every one of them asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for something different, He, Allah, is the only being who would be able to A, hear every one of them at the very same time, and number two, respond to their needs at the very same time. There is no human person, not today, not tomorrow, never will be, no human person, however intellectual, or affluent, or wealthy, or smart, or this or that, who will be able to hear two people at any one given time, comprehend what they're talking about, and respond to their needs at the very same time. So praises to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us the chance to be Muslims, to be present here. The name of the lecture, this is Eid al-Adha is coming up, and it's an Eid lecture. And so I thought perhaps a very profound thing for me to speak about was delight and joy and being happy in life. Because Eid al-Adha, or any Eid for that matter, is a time for the Muslim to be happy. Is a time for families to get together. A time for folks who had things against each other to forgive each other. A time to move on from the things that had kept us back for so long. Now, you often hear the word happiness. There's not one place I've gone to, not one person I have met, black or white, Muslim or non-Muslim, young or old, married or single, who hasn't told me, Brother Muhammad, I just want to be happy. I just want to be happy. I just want to be happy in life. So what does that mean? Well, the Quran tells us that there are two kinds of joys, two kinds of delights. When someone says, I want to be happy, he's talking about two things, not one thing. Allah says, فَرِحِينَ بِمَا آتَاهُمُ اللَّهُ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ فَرِحِينَ بِمَا آتَاهُمُ اللَّهُ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ. He says, you will see them happy. The word Allah is using here is farah. You will see them happy with what? بِمَا آتَاهُمُ اللَّهُ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ. Because of what He had given them out of His bounties. This is the type of joy that scholars would call the joy of the face, the external joy, the one that can be seen. Because it's interesting that after the term farah, which is happiness, there came giving something, a transaction of some kind. The question then is, what if they were not given anything? What if there was no transaction involved? Would they still be happy? They would. The term would just not be farah. So Allah says, farihina, they're happy, bima atahum Allahu min fadlih, because of what was given to them out of the bounties of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? And then in the Quran as well, there's another term that's also used to mean that same type of joy. It's just one of the two. In Surah Al-Insan, Allah says, فَوَقَاهُمُ اللَّهُ شَرَّ ذَلِكَ الْيَوْمِ وَلَقَاهُمْ نَضْرَةً وَسُرُورًا. Nadra, from a Quranic perspective, is something that has to do with a very shining light, radiant, something that can be seen, something that's visible. So Allah is going to save them from the distress of that day. فَوَقَاهُمُ اللَّهُ شَرَّ ذَلِكَ الْيَوْمِ. What day are we talking about? Day of Judgment, right? And then, وَلَقَاهُمْ, Allah is going to give them two things. نَضْرَةً, He's going to give them joy. وَسُرُورًا, and then He's going to give them another joy. But they don't mean the same. I'm sorry? Oh, okay. The first one, nadara, like I said, has to do with light. So it's the same as فَرِحِينَ بِمَا آتَاهُمُ اللَّهُ. If you were to go outside right now and you run into a homeless person and you gave him $1 or $2, you could tell from the expressions on his face or her face that they're happy. That type of happiness, the Quran calls either farah or nadra. If you met here tonight someone that you've been meaning to meet up with for some time, but because of work, because of school, because of whatever, you weren't able to meet up with him or her, the very first second you met him up, you saw him, the expressions on your face, that's farah. That's one type of joy. فَرِحِينَ بِمَا آتَاهُمُ اللَّهُ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ. So again, nadara, light. Light is visible, right? We can see light. The other, however, وَلَقَاهُمْ نَضْرَةً وَسُرُورًا. Surur is a different type of delight. It's a different type of joy. This time, the base for that word is sin ra, SR. That means, that makes a complete word, sir. That means secret, right? So the second one then is what's called the secret happiness, or the one of the heart, or the internal joy. You can't see it. You could be the happiest dude on the face of this earth, right? Or you could be very depressed. I can't tell how you feel, right? You can't tell how I feel deep inside. I look all right standing here, but you don't know what's going on with me in my life, what's inside me. So Allah is going to give them on that day nadratan, the joy of the face. They're going to be happy. They're going to be looking very bright and sharp, right? Because when you run into people, you go, subhanallah, there's light on your face today, man. What did you do? Right? Nadratan. Allah is going to give them that type of joy. And then also the other, wasururan, is going to give them the other type of joy that deals with the heart. So when someone speaks about tranquility, when someone speaks about stability, a peace of mind, all those things, they're talking about that other type of delight. Right? It reminds me of a brother I once met. He told me, Brother Muhammad, every time I go outside and I run into any person, every person tells me, "Are you okay?" As if something terrible had happened. Every single day, as soon as I step out of my house, everyone I run into tells me, "Is everything okay? Are you okay?" Right? And he said, "I'm fine." I said, "Is there anything that has happened?" I wasn't trying to be a counselor or anything like that. But I said, "Is there anything crazy, that's creepy, that's going on with you in your life?" He said, "No, the only one thing that I've ever gotten so sad over was the passing away of my mother." And he said, "That was 20 long years ago. I'm happy with my family, I'm happy with my work, my school, my job, my kids, my wife, everything. I couldn't possibly be any happier than I am right now." And so here's a person who has the inside joy, sururan, right? But he does not have the nadara or the farah that the Quran spoke about. And there could be millions of people that you run into. They're very stable, they're very calm, they're very peaceful, they're very polite, they're very kind, they're very modest, they're very humble. But on their face, it seems as if they're upset 24/7. It seems as if something terrible had happened to them a second ago. And then there's the other kind. There are people that look very bright and very beautiful on the outside. Their faces are shining 24/7. There's not one time you will see them where they don't look upright and straight. However, as soon as you dig into their lives, once you talk, right? Once you talk to them and you get to know them more, and you talk about deep things, you talk about family, you talk about what's going on, then you will find out that the person you've been seeing all this time is not the person that you're talking to tonight. A person who could carry that delight on their face so well and so beautiful, but you dig into their lives and you find nothing but desperation, stress, and depression. Now, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was to give any one of us the two combined, he or she is living a beautiful life. If you were to get them both, right? If you were to get them both, he or she.